Today is the day. It was so rainy, couldn't photograph anything this weekend, and luckily I'm free next weekend as well, but suppose I can go snap some shots. And I have in mind a comparative video between DSLR or mirrorless camera and a film camera. So I want just to shoot the same scene with the digital and analog camera and then compare this in post. I'm going to be using an Ilford emulation for the film camera, and the digital camera shoots RAW, but I'll be using the RNI or really nice image plugin, which gives you this sort of film emulation for digital photography. And I suppose should be ready to pack. Light meter is here. Dust cleaner, very important. Remote control, absolutely essential. Luckily we can play with longer exposures today because obviously black and white photos won't be affected by the color cast of the leaf filters. And I have to make some space for the digital camera, the Sony A7SIII. Always make sure batteries are loaded and ready to go. All we need now is, oh, I told you I forgot this one. Anyway, we'll put them in here. Hopefully it won't rain here. Here the weather is unpredictable, but I'll be visiting a location that I've been there before, Dunbur. There is Black Castle there, there is a pier, so all good. See you shortly. Yeah, we kind of here, and it's it's raining, you know. I drove 91 kilometers, almost 100, and yeah, I knew it, you know, I knew it, but I don't know. I hope I can get something out of it. Rain finally stopped, and I got a composition in front of me. I have this bridge with some reflections in a dull green water, and it's called the Bridge Tavern. I think it works because, you know, Bridge Tavern, I'll show you better like this. Bridge Tavern over a bridge. Yeah, wow. Now there is another bridge in that area, and that is cool as well, but I can see the reflections here, and that makes me kind of happy. So I have my film camera. I have the Canon EOS 1V. Let me get the light meter. 5.6. No, I said to you I was measuring an incidental metering because I did a video recently about it, and I was thinking what is going on, and then there is another metering there. 120. Yeah, that's more like it. So whew. Okay, I have only 4 stops of dynamic range, f9, probably at 25th of a second, which is exactly what my camera is metering. But that's not all. Obviously we have to use the polarizing. Yeah, that will be the level of polarization. And if I'm going to meter the roof and then I'm going to meter through it, it tells me that this is 2 stops. So I'll be using a 6-stop ND filter just to give him a whip. So now it's time to take the calculator. 1/6 is 10 seconds. Well, that's more like it. So now when you get the calculator, is 10 at power 1.26 this time, because this is Ilford. That's 18 seconds. So away we go. 18 seconds at f9. I don't know, did I get it? I don't know, I hope I did. So I'm more or less now focused on the same composition with my Sony A7SIII. So again, exposure was 18 seconds. Oh, it won't be 18, it will be 10 seconds only. Let's do it again, because there is no reciprocity rule in digital photography. And let's see what we got here. Yeah, histogram is blown out. I'm just going to get my light meter. Yeah, 1/13. The light changed. The light changed. Okay, let's do one for 5 seconds. Yeah, that's much better. It's a heaven. We have this, can I call it abandoned building? I hope I can. And then we have the other one, abandoned building, with some splash of colors coming from those boats. And then we have this bridge here. And if you crouch down, or if you put the camera low on the ground, it may superimpose with the background, so it will look very minimalistic. There are some telegraph wires or electrical wire on the top of the frame, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. Obviously, this will look absolutely fantastic on a blue hour or something crazy like this. Sunset, sunrise, not now, but it is what it is. We have to wait for the rain to pass. The building won't go anywhere. Look at that. Look at the pier. I photographed it before from an opposite angle, but look at that. Even this loading area can make a beautiful long exposure, I suppose, but that one is much more classical. Hey, it's raining, man. It's raining. It's raining. It's not, well, it's drizzling. That's a drizzle. And look at this area. Look at the port. You know, the light will shine on that. That will make some sort of a pattern with all those boats. But no, we had to travel 100 kilometers and can't do it. No, and the water is so calm. You don't no need more than 1 minute exposure. Look at that person, one single person walking on the pier. Oh my God, that's gorgeous. And I can't shoot it because it's raining. We're back again at point zero. Man, it's raining. I'm completely soaked. It was more like a recce this time. I did only one photo. I'm just going to give it, you know, another hour. Maybe, and we'll see what's happening. I don't know, just have a look yourself. Like, whoa, what is that? What is that? That's rain. That's rain everywhere. Man. Anyway. And this is how it is at the moment. So, there are no chances, man. They'll keep on moving on us. And good morning again. Look what we have here. It's not actually good morning, it's more like a good afternoon, but this is the next day. Look what we have here. Just look at this weather. Again in Dunbur. And today, my friends, it is happening. The sky is bright, it's gorgeous, and I have the Ilford with me, 125 ISO, and we are going to photograph the pier, the Black Castle, and maybe some other old buildings to see what we get. I'm in the location now, and this is the pier. Some boats, not too busy today, exactly how I like it. So let's meter quickly the scene. I'm at ISO 1/125, and obviously you can get the shadows, the deeper shadows, and then whatever highlights we have. I think the light meter is brighter than the sky itself. So yeah, I have to go down with a much smaller aperture, probably at f16. At f16 it shows me 1/320th of a second. Wow, that's what I'll be doing. I'll be using a polarizing filter. So let me get that quickly. And with the polarizing filter, what I can do first, I'll check the level of polarization that I'm happy with, and this is something like this. And then I'll be metering through the polarizing filter first without and then through it, so we will know exactly how dark it is. 1/125th of a second. That's perfect, but this is not all, because now we have to add a 10 stopper in front of the lens. So usually what I do, I get the exposure without the filters, then I add filters. So I add more stops each time. I'm just going to give him a good old clean, and this goes in front of the camera. So now we have 10 stops here. So 1/125th, we get the calculator and we have a Lee application, and it says that this should be 8 seconds. But remember the reciprocity rule. So now we open the calculator and we calculate 8 at 1/1.26 power. That's exactly 13.73 seconds. So we can easily make it 14 seconds. And this is how we're going to get the exposure. It will be 14 seconds. That's the remote control. Camera goes to bulb mode. F16 focused on the lighthouse. First, I think I'll have to put the first I'll get the mirror up, and what was that? 13 seconds. 12, 13. That's it. Oh yeah. I should have shielded. No. Okay. So now what we will do, we will take the same photo, but with the mirrorless camera. So now this is my Sony A7SIII. And away we go for 8 seconds. I wonder how is that? Yeah, that's much better. Yeah. Now, more or less, we're photographing the same thing, the same pier, but it's from a little bit of a different angle. As you can see here, this is the angle that I'm shooting, and you can also see it through the viewfinder of my Canon EOS 1V. It looks like this, and obviously I have some kind of a rule of thirds composition with the lighthouse coming in the center. Light is very strong. I'm at f11 and I'm not getting more than 1 minute exposure. It's not the prime line, but I cannot complain. Yesterday was horrible weather. So what I'll do now, I'll just meter the scene and just to see how you're in the ballpark, and that we'll be doing with the film photography. We keep on metering. So it doesn't matter the order, I'll just get that shadow of the boat, the lighthouse, the pier, the water, and the clouds, and the sky, and that's enough. And now I would say that I have to shoot at f16. Okay, because it's just too bright. So let's see, f16 is 1/200 of a second. So if I'm going to change the aperture to f16 and the shutter speed is 1/200 of a second, well, now let's get the polarizing filter and see how this is going to go. So do we have any polarization? We have a little bit, of course we have. Yeah, it will darken the exposure further. So I'm just going to meter a tone, and then just going, yeah. So I have a stop and a third darker, which means that the shutter speed now is 1/80 of a second. Very carefully placing it in front of this, and now we'll get the Lee application, and 1/80 means basically 13 seconds. All right, and if you get the calculator, 13 seconds power 1.26 is 25 seconds. 25 seconds is not that much, but it is what it is. So it was about, forgot to put the filter, a disaster. So now we have the filter on. I probably need to shield. I think I'll shield. I may need to shield the camera somehow. I forgot the exposure was 25 seconds. Okay, we have this old man passing, so probably I can open up the mirror, and I'm going to shield the camera a little bit. And for some reason, yeah, 25 seconds. I hope this is not in the frame. It cannot be in the frame. I'm shielding the grad. There is a car passing by. Damn. Should I take another exposure? I think I'll better take another exposure, because I don't know, man. That car passed by. Yeah. So mirror up. 25 seconds. I think it's good. Now let's get the same thing with the mirrorless camera. I found another composition, and I'm backlit. This is what I'm seeing at the moment. You can see this stone formation, and you can see it through the viewfinder of my camera as well. I have a cloud on top of it and some seaweed in the foreground. I'm not quite happy with that weed foreground, but it is what it is. What can I do? And yeah, I'm just going to meter this, and let's see. And now if I'm getting the exposure, we are 1/80 of a second. Okay, so if we're going to polarize, I don't think it will. Yeah, it does something. Yeah, it's a stop and a third, obviously, like always. So we have to open up, we have to make the shutter longer with one stop and a third, which means 1, 2, 3, 4. 1/30 of a second. So we know 1/30 of a second, 10 stop in the grad, a minute and 12. And then we'll take the same exposure with the digital one, and we'll see what we get. That should be nice. Light is kind of changing because the sun is going down, but it's beautiful. It's beautiful. I think those clouds that I have on top of the rock looks like they are similar to this weed in the foreground. Maybe it's my imagination, for sure it is, but I hope it will look good. And very curious, about this film, how it will render. Yeah, so we are back in the studio now, and we're going to review and edit the photos that we just taken during those 2 days in Dunbur. So the first photo is here, and this is coming from my mirrorless camera, the Sony A7SIII. This is the bridge tower. Looking at the composition, I'm not quite happy with it. I was fascinated by those reflections, but I think the polarization levels are too big. I could not see it too much. The image is a little bit unbalanced. So we have in this lower third, let's say the water, then we have the bridge, then we have the restaurant, but then we have these rooftops, which are kind of distracting. So probably I'll be cropping them out completely, though you see there is no breathing space left. And probably we have to straighten the photo a little bit as well. And then we have the horizon line here, for example, and we have this vertical here. And maybe this is better. There is a good intention in this photograph, but again, maybe I need to crop it further here, because I have this here, and then we probably have to go in like this. Yeah, this is more symmetrical. In terms of grading or whatever, that's not a problem either. We have the auto button that will do the trick for us. Why not? If you can use the auto button, use it. And obviously that brought the contrast a little bit. It's more punchier, more vivid. I think the histogram looks fine. There is nothing. The white balance is a little bit off to me. It's a little bit greenish. So we can add a little bit of magenta, or we can use the white balance tool here probably. Yeah, I think that's better. It looks much warmer. And yeah, that's the image coming from the digital camera. But let's see the image coming from the film camera, the Canon EOS 1V. And obviously this is a negative, and it's a negative that I have scanned. Let me see if I cropped it or not. Yeah, it's cropped, it's scanned. What happens is now we just need to use the Negative Lab Pro and convert it. And yeah, there's the image. There's the image, baby. There's the image. Now we can, for fun, we can crop it in a similar fashion like we did with the digital one. Though for some reason this looks 10 times better because it's film. But let's say something like this. Let's say this is the image, and I would say that the exposure is pretty much nailed. Shadows are a little bit deeper here compared to what I have metered, but overall I think I'm happy. I don't see any major problems. Histogram is healthy as well. I think I'm quite happy. Now what I want to do is to compare those two photos. Before comparing, what we have to do is go back to the digital photo and add, for example, we are going to add a preset. This is the real comparative image, but they had the same sharpness. Obviously, if you can look into the film one, which is here on the right hand side, it is much is less sharper than the one taken with the digital camera. Well, that's expected. Film is not that sharp as digital. Second thing is that what I can see, the exposure though, it's absolutely similar. The water obviously would look different because it was in a different time of the day. So, and the roof, you can see that in the digital image, it's much more punchier, much more contrasty than in the film one. But you can easily probably match them together. What happens is I don't usually edit too much the film scans because I just want to see what film can do. Because if I start adding this digital Photoshop technique, I don't know what I'm getting. I don't know what I'm looking at anymore. But overall, I'm quite happy, and I think the reflections looks better here in the film image compared to the digital one. But overall, yeah, I'm quite happy with that. Let's move on to the next image, and this is the pier, the first pier. That was basically next day. And again, we can use the magic auto button. The image becomes a little bit brighter and things like this. We can straighten the horizon line here. So that will be the horizon, and that will be vertical somewhere here. I hope it's vertical. Okay, so this is how it looks like. And obviously we have to apply our RNI plugin. So that's the image we are talking about. And if we are going into the film image camera, this is the same image taken with the film camera. Yeah, so now we are going to visualize the image coming from the EOS 1V, and we apply the same negative lab pro to convert it. And as you can see, suddenly it is too dark. But we can improve things. You know, we can make it brighter. We can make the whole image overall bright. So the exposure here was wrong. I underexposed the image for some reason. Probably the light meter was thrown off because of the how bright the highlights, or it could be many things. And now, if we are going to use, just to compare those two things together, as you can see, they are quite different. Because unfortunately the exposure, I did not nail the exposure with the film camera. The image came a little bit under. But again, I wouldn't say there is much of a difference. Highlights are much better held into the film one compared to the digital. Strangely enough, but probably this can be processed further. And I think the polarization was too strong. The water is simply too dark. I pretty much prefer the film version, though the digital one is not bad either. Anyway, it's a success in both of them. I wouldn't say that is not, but I prefer the film one because of the highlights roll-off. I'm going to give this photo 5 stars as well. They maybe print it one day. What happens after that, I think we went and we took the same image from a different angle. Yes, this one. And just to improve things a little bit, I'm going to do my my workflow here. Yeah, this is much better, rule of thirds. It's too much water in the foreground somehow. I think this is much more pleasing, though now somehow the pier takes almost the entire photo. But anyway, it's like there is not enough room to breathe, but I think it's still working. I'm going to apply the Ilford Delta profile, so the image looks like this. And now we try to find the similar. Yeah, this is the film one. And let's get in clutch with. We may actually do the same kind of cropping. And now we have to apply the profile, negative lab pro, and that's what we have. Again, to me it looks a little bit underexposed again. We can probably lift up we will lift up the shadows, and I have to correct the horizon line. I'm not sure what's happened there, why it was not straight. Yeah, so this is much better. And now, if we compare this photo with the one from the digital, again, the digital, it seems much more punchier, and the film one is much more soft. But I wouldn't say there is a huge difference. I would say that RNI plugin holds really, really strong. I think it's an absolute beast. The image looks pretty similar. There's not too much of a difference. I wouldn't say it's hugely different, and I will be happy to shoot digital and apply this profile all the time. I'm a big advocate of this plugin. Film is much more smoother. The highlights here, you see how bright are in the digital one, and in the film it's a much more softer roll-off. Depends what you want to get. Again, probably this is not an ideal subject for black and white, because you have a very blue sky and blue water. So when you convert to black and white, everything looks kind of middle gray. It's not, but luckily we have this lighthouse which was quite bright, so that gives the contrast. the clouds, I don't know why they are so gray. I would have made them much more white. I would have preferred them to be much more whiter. Unfortunately, they are not. So that's what we have. I'm going to have to give this 5 stars as well. I remember that we went back to the beach and we got this composition. If you remember, it was this stone formation with some weeds in the foreground. And let's see what the auto function says to us. Yeah, it brings a much more contrast. It makes it a little bit punchier. And if we apply the Ilford Delta profile, it looks like this. If we move on to the image that is actually shot on film, and we're going to use the crop tool just before applying the Negative Lab Pro plugin, we get this result. Again, I don't know what's happening. Again, looks underexposed, so I can lift the darks a little bit and maybe bring the highlights down. Yeah, I think it's too much. I brought the darks too much. Yeah, we can leave. Yeah, something like this. Something like this looks much better. And this is the film one, and this is the digital. Not hugely different. It's not hugely different. And yeah, the digital has an unreal sharpness. Obviously, that's the advantage of modern lenses. Just before finishing this video, I just wanted to show you 2 more photos that I shot in that particular day. And we have this this house that I was talking about. And yeah, a little bit under, but there's not a problem. We can probably make things brighter, and we can play. This is the power of digital. You would have done the same in a dark room. I don't think it would have been much of a difference. You see very, very minor adjustments, and you end up with a beautiful image. It was about 1 minute exposure with the polarizing, and the water was very calm, and I think it turned up very well. And that's about it. So very happy with the RNI plugin, and I guess I'll see you in the next one.